Daryl Minch is a family and community health sciences educator and a tenured faculty member for Rutgers Cooperative Extension of Somerset County. She has provided leadership for the FCHS program since 1985, as well as for the statewide FCHS initiatives. Daryl's expertise is in food and nutrition, food allergies, food safety, and food preservation. She has published curricula, articles, and fact sheets and given many presentations at state and national conferences. She has numerous awards for her work. She co-leads the first New Jersey FCHS Master Food Preserver program that started in 2019. Minch has served in many state and national leadership roles. Ms. Minch earned her Master's of Education degree from the Graduate School of Education and a Bachelor of Science degree in Home Economics from Douglas College, both at Rutgers. So please welcome Daryl.
Just a few overviews in some of the population health concerns with the South Asian population. Again, this is when you look at populations as a whole, they may not apply to you individually, so just understand that. But what concerns seem to rise to the top? Overweight and obesity is all too common, and that increases risk for heart disease and diabetes, also very common chronic health diseases within that population. And then this is true for all Americans, probably across the world. We eat too many processed foods. It's just the trend today, really in many countries, is the processed foods. And for people that have a traditional eating pattern, regardless of what culture you're from, as you come to that American or wherever your local living arrangement is, people tend to start eating more processed foods, and that has some health concerns. You may, particularly as caregivers, have less time for doing food preparation. I mean, I like to cook. Sometimes I'm just too tired. Or not having family support. You've moved away where you have that family support system. That's also a challenge. And then sometimes, particularly South Asian culture, fried foods, sweets on a regular basis. And quite frankly, that's true in American eating patterns as well, and that has health concerns. So what's good? Many are vegetarian. So the good part of that is that meat and poultry typically are higher in fat and cholesterol, and that can have negative health implications. Using a variety of spices could allow you to use less sodium or salt, so that's a good thing, and it adds a lot of flavor to food. But unfortunately, we do have a lot of concerns. So traditional diets tend to be very high in carbohydrates. Lots of rice and different kinds of breads. We also have fruit being eaten in frequently. Fruit is good, but if you're having 8 or 10 servings of fruit every day, that's a lot of sugar and crowds out some other foods like vegetables. So that might be an area where we have too much. Chai tea. How many of you like chai tea? I'm told that it's it's something that people drink a lot throughout the day, and if you're only having 1 or 2 cups, that's fine, but there can be a significant amount of sugar and milk in there, which is a lot of calories, and our brains don't think about things we drink. They don't give us that feeling of fullness as quickly, so having more beverage rather than some foods that have more nutrients in it can be a problem. Some diets are lower in protein and not enough vegetables. Already talked about frying. Too much salt. Most Americans, because of processed foods, way too much salt. Puts it more risk for high hypertension, high blood pressure, makes it harder to control, and large portions. And again, this is true for many cultures and most Americans. Our portion sizes are too large for the amount of activity we get. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. So what kinds of guidelines would I say for looking at healthy eating patterns? ChooseMyPlate.gov, that's the icon up top, have you seen that? What do you notice about the icon? What's the most of the plate?
Vegetables.
Vegetables and fruits. So I already told you to just be careful with the fruit in terms of how much during the course of the day, but this is the daily plate. Lots of vegetables and fruits. Traditional American plates, lots of meat. half the plate, restaurant, 3/4 of the plate is the protein, not enough vegetables. So we want to fill our plates with the vegetables, some fruits, whole grains, dairy or a dairy substitute to get the calcium. That's the goal there. My Plate, the website has lots of resources. If you type in your age, your gender, and your activity level, and by the way, almost all of us are moderate or lower in the activity level, you have to be honest, it'll tell you how many calories about you should have each day. They'll tell you which foods to fill those kinds of things. There are recipes. It's a good resource. It's not gourmet cooking, but it has things to help you. How many of you have heard of the DASH diet? Okay, so if you're at risk for hypertension or you have hypertension, most of your health providers will recommend you look at or follow the DASH dietary approaches to stop hypertension diet. It's similar to the basic My Plate. It emphasizes lots of vegetables. It wants you to cut back on your processed foods, eliminate or keep salt and salty foods to a minimum. You want to, using low-fat milk, nuts are fine. Nuts are a good protein source. You need to choose those that are unsalted and watch the portion size. So, I lost my foods. Anybody see what happened to my foods here?
I thought that was someone else's food.
Sorry, they were my props. So like a small handful, a quarter cup of nuts is a portion size. If I sit down with a container of nuts or a big bowl and I'm watching television or reading, you're mindless, you're just gonna keep eating. So portion size becomes yes, thank you. So these are my cute little food models. So that's about a quarter cup, a small handful of almonds. So they're a good source for that, for protein. You want the DASH diet, limit foods high in saturated fat, all your whole milk products, your whole milk cheeses. If you prefer whole milk, if you drink it, then I always tell people, work your way down, go from whole milk to 2%. If you can tolerate that, move down to 1%. If you're okay with that, then move down to the non-fat. If you really can't stand the non-fat, then move back up to 1% and hold there. It's a pretty good option. But ease your way down to get for drinking beverage, and in cooking, you don't notice really using a non-fat milk as you would a whole milk. Limiting sweets in the DASH diet as well. The pyramid type shape here is the Mediterranean diet, and you can get information on Choose My Plate about Mediterranean foods as well. The base here emphasizes exercise, so while we think of the Mediterranean diet, the foods themselves are really healthy. The lifestyle of that many countries in that area is more physically active if you're following a traditional lifestyle. So being active is important. Lots of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, much less of the protein foods. They're more the condiment, if you will. They're a small piece of the plate, but you don't need a lot. Meats and sweets are very limited, lots of water. So any one of these three are good for health and give you a nice variety. But think about having lots of vegetables, all different colors, perhaps limiting in terms of portions, either frequency or size, the starchy vegetables like potatoes. A sweet potato has more vitamins in it than the white potatoes. Even your squashes, they just have more carbohydrates and are higher in calories. A few other practical tips. Most of us like to cook, we like fresh foods, but when you're caregiving, time is of the essence, or your energy level. So if you have someone in the home, you may have to prepare special foods for them. They may be on a different time schedule than the rest of the family, or when my mother was in rehab or in the hospital, you're spending time with them there to connect with healthcare providers or just provide social interaction. So by the time I get home, I'm too tired to do any cooking. So I'm just like everyone else, going to the to the store and buying a rotisserie chicken or something to round out the meal. So while you might want to cook fresh, you may not have the time, try to make bigger portions of things and give freezing ahead, or freezing half. I make a big pot of soup, I always freeze some, so then I have it for lunch or for another meal. It's not the ideal for many of us, but again, it saves you on that time and energy. Choose healthier prepared foods. There are some healthy choices out there. You need to read the labels. Particularly look at sodium, fat, and sugar, and see what you can do. And pay attention to portion size. Canned soups, first of all, they're all high in sodium. It's very hard to find any canned soups that are really low, and so you really have to read labels. But most cans, how many portions are in there? Anybody know? Usually it's 2. I, for one, often feel comfortable eating the entire can. But then the calories and the sodium and the fat, it's twice that. The labels are written for 1 portion, so look at what that is. And if the sodium was 800 and I eat the entire can, I've now had 1,600 milligrams of sodium. So it really jumps up. You have to pay attention. It's not easy. I'll be the first one to say that. If people offer to bring you food or help you with things, most of us go, I can do it. I can do it. This is the time of your life. You have to say, that would be really nice, thank you. It does help. It'd be helpful. Stay hydrated. Again, sometimes we mistake thirst for hunger. So if you're not drinking enough during the day, and then you're like, I don't know what, and then you just kind of eat. So try to drink water or tea or coffee throughout the day, or seltzer, and try not to skip meals. Again, it's hard. If you're coming doing visits for doctors, or you're doing caregiving, you forget to eat, or you're just too busy to eat, then what happens in the next meal? You overeat. And often it's not the right thing. I'm starving. What can I grab? I open up, a bag of something. So try not to skip. Try to keep some healthy foods with you. A little bit about beverages. Water is great. Try to keep it with you. Tap water is free. If you don't like drinking water, add a little flavor to it. Fruit, cucumber. In the summer I grow herbs. I like to throw some herbs in my water. Splash of juice just gives a little flavor. Studies have shown that some people will drink more liquid if it's fizzy. So seltzers can add that fizz factor and not have no calories. Plain tea or coffee, low-fat milks, all the nut milks, almond, soy, and oat, which are not nuts, but have become very popular, and they're good alternatives at times, but you need to read the labels. Some of them have a lot of sugar in them, some are high in fat, some are lower in protein, so look at what those are and make your decisions accordingly. Juice can count as part of your fruit intake, but it has a lot of calories, and your body says, oh, I drank this whole glass of juice, which might be the juice of 3 oranges, versus I would probably only eat 1 orange. So the recommendation is no more than 6 ounces of juice a day. Sometimes if I want a little juice, I'll add a little seltzer. So I get my fizzy beverage, I get a little benefit of whatever that juice is. Beware of the portion size or frequency of those high-calorie choices like chai tea, regular soda, coffee beverages, with or without the whipped cream. Smoothies and shakes sound really healthy, but often they're really large and they can pack a lot of calories. So they're you can make them yourself, or look for those that are lower in sugar and calories. Snacks, I said, snacks can be part of a healthy eating pattern, and they keep us from overeating at the next meal, and they're good to have on hand. I used to like, and I still do, I like to keep a few snacks in the car or in my purse that's healthier, maybe a healthier nut and fruit bar, or something small, or a small handful of nuts, so that if I'm getting hungry, I don't reach for the candy or something else that someone may have. I have something healthy to tide you over. And I always, it cracks me up, they'll go, don't eat the bowl of ice cream that has lots of calories, have an apple instead. If I'm craving cold and sweet and smooth, I do not want a crunchy, cold foods. So look for foods in the same category that might be more helpful. A frozen yogurt or a frozen fruit bar kind of compares closer to the ice cream than it does an apple. But if I want crunchy chips, an apple or those apple chips are also good alternatives. So find things that work for you and keep them on hand. Say, I throw some things in my purse or in my car, particularly if I'm going to be out and about and doing a lot of things, so that I don't get starving and then have to overeat at the next opportunity. The other thing that happens when you don't have a lot of time is we're a culture that eats out all the time. You have to make healthy choices, and one of the biggest problems besides not having healthy choices at any kind of restaurant or fast food or semi-fast food is that the portions are huge. So if you can make a habit of just eating the portion size that is more reasonable or more true for you, take the rest home, take half to go, and then you have a meal for the other. And from a food safety perspective, I'll just mention if you can't do that, you can't have your lunch out, take half to go, and then go do the visit with a relative for 4 hours, because there's a food safety issue there. So either carry the ice pack in the cooler with you, or then you can't take it to go. Choose dishes that aren't fried, smaller portions of rice and bread, drink water. Those are some basic things to think about. Being active. Another piece that's really hard when you're caregiving is physical activity. I'm going to spend a lot of time sitting, driving. Yes, I was active, maybe cleaning in the house or preparing a meal, but it's not the same as getting out and getting a walk, so it's not easy. But it's a huge benefit for caregivers in that it can reduce your stress. And if I'm really stressed, it really does help if I take a walk. It may reduce depression and improve sleep. It certainly can help if you do it regularly to control weight. It's recommended for preventing heart disease and diabetes and certain kinds of cancer. And unfortunately, as we age, our muscle mass can decrease, so being active maintains muscle mass and strength, and that allows us to stay active throughout our entire lives. What's the recommendation? It's 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity activity. It is 2 days a week of muscle strengthening activity. Carrying my grocery bags is muscle building, but maybe using light weights or stretch bands, or using even your body weight to go up and down on your balls of your feet. All of that can build muscle. Do things you like. If you can, if you like walking or stretching or doing yoga, you're going to keep that up. Because time is of the essence, I tried to park further away. I'm at a parking lot. Obviously, if I was going with my mother to a doctor's visit, I had to park close to get her in, but if I was doing a visit for something, I might park farther away, just a few more steps in my day. Find what works for you. If you're a morning person, great. If you have a safe place to walk in your home or in your neighborhood in the evening, that's great. But find things that work for you, and they're going to talk about meditation or other options as well. So in summary, you want to try to eat healthy meals and snacks to keep your strength up, because you can't do your caregiving roles if you don't. More vegetables, more beans and lentils and low-fat dairy, less frying and processed foods. I'll call them reasonable portion sizes, and if you're active, you can eat more food. Drinking liquids, being active. We have lots of resources on our website as well, so you can visit. And food doesn't have to be difficult to be good. Everybody has simple and easy recipes like the salad down below. I love fresh tomatoes when they're in season. This caprese salad is just tomatoes with some mozzarella cheese on top and fresh herbs, and then balsamic vinegar and maybe some olive oil. You could vary the cheese, you could vary the herbs, but it doesn't have to be hard. So it can be really simple to get those things in. And we're going to do questions